What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Terry, speaking from the garage shop once again. Here to offer you some more big bang for the buck product and info. We've been busy. The last time we were together, the frame was getting sandblasted. And now, yeah. Let me tell you what we're doing. Oh, at this time, I want to thank each and every one of you guys out there, because I hit 20,000 subscribers. That is huge to me. That I really appreciate that. If you haven't done so, go and hit that red subscribe button right now. And if you're not, if you're looking at this video on a different type of platform, type in Coverman66, go on over and hit subscribe, because I got a lot of stuff jumping off and I want you guys to be part of it. A lot of stuff jumping off. And again, I have to thank you guys, because this would not have been possible if it wasn't for you guys. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, with the frame all sandblasted and looking pretty, now would be the perfect time to install a bracing kit. And the bracing kit that we went with is the Summit Racing Frame Bracing Kit for A-body. And it's a pretty tricked out bracing kit. Now, why do you suppose one would need a frame bracing kit? Ooh, I'll tell you. Boxing the frame is one of the best ways to make it rigid. Yes, but why does the frame need to be rigid? Ooh, I got it again. Well, a rigid frame will keep the car from flexing, especially when you're throwing some serious power at it. Now, I know you guys know, but let's go over it because we got time, all right? Now, a box frame it's like this. It's a box frame, but this is a box. So yeah, I can't make a box out of my finger right here, on my finger. So let's just pretend this is a box, okay? So it looks like this, all right? So it's a box frame. A C-channel is take away one side, and that's your C-channel. So being that the body's off the frame of the car, now would be the perfect opportunity to install a frame boxing kit. And that's what we're gonna do. Now, the kit I decided to go with is the Summit Racing Brace Kit. And we're gonna go over it in a second, but the first thing you gotta do, you gotta read the instructions, all right? You don't wanna, just read them, it's not too long. Second thing you gotta do is, when you get your frame in this position right here where it's off of the body's off of it, they give you measurement points, all right? And to be honest with you, I don't know how this frame, after 50 years, is still as straight as it was when it came out the factory. This thing is in incredible condition. And I checked it out. It doesn't seem like it was ever hit. I can't see any kinks. I can't see any place where they pulled it. And I even had one of my buddies, Nelson Rosado, he came over and he looked at it. He goes, this is in great shape. So we're gonna roll with this. Let's take a look at the kit. Now, I got the clamps holding the brace in. I pretty much trimmed up the driver's side right here. I got to trim up the passenger side, but let's take a look at this brace. Now, standard A-body frame, it ties in right there, right here, and that little piece of sheet metal back there. Now, with this Summit frame bracing kit, not only does it tie in here, it also ties in here with the cross members. Flip it back and forth or either way around, depending on what type of transmission you're running. So that gives you plenty of options. And then it ties in right here. Now you have 5 points of where this is going to tie the frame in. This little plate right here, that's going to weld in this C-channel. You can see it over there better. And so that's where we are now. So we mocked it up and we're going to start welding this in. From this point to this point, you want to make sure you have 53 inches. Center hole, 53 inches. You could be off by a quarter inch, half inch. But even still, it's important that you have that. And so what I did here is I ratchet strap, because it's exact and I don't want it to move. In a few minutes, I'm going to, take a piece of square tubing and weld it from this point to that point where I know it won't move during the installation of the bracing kit. So basically what I just did was I tack welded a bar from one end to the other end, because as I was saying, center hole to center hole should be 53 inches. Like I give or take a quarter inch, I believe a half inch, I'm not sure, check me to make sure. But when you start doing welding and start introducing heat, metal wants to move. So this will keep the frame in place, and now I can remove the ratchet strap and I could begin to work. And I know what you guys are thinking, I know. Hey Terry, why don't you put the frame on the table and weld it that way? Well, I don't have a frame table. And this could be done on its wheels. You just make sure the measurements are right. So when come time for me to start lining everything up, I'm gonna zero the frame out, lift it up where I have to, zero it out, and make sure this is zeroed, make sure everything is zeroed and in a perfect position for it to be welded. You don't need a frame table. All right, it's starting to look good. Look at this. See? Now this is the plate. Oh, let me get over here. This is the plate that's going to box the frame right here. All right. Now the connecting points are here, 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 and here. We had a lot of space between this point and this point. So by simply trimming, like I said, this bracket right here, you can see how it's trimmed. By simply trimming it, it pushes the frame, the brace, inward a little. And then you just got to adjust it and you should be good to go. So this is about ready to be tacked in, this one, and then just tack them in, go slow. And but I'm not going to do that until I finish this set, because this is how it used to look. See that? See that? So I'm going to have to trim this, do the same thing. And I'll also have to do a little trimming here. So just know that when you get the kit, you may have to do a little fab work, just a little, and to make it fit right. You remember the demonstration I gave you with the 3 fingers, and I removed one. So here we go. So now we're boxing the frame right now. All right, this is what a box frame looks like. It's going to be boxed. You might find that the bottom of your frame might be a little twisted because of being jack stands on here throughout the years and all that. Because I know mine was. So what you do is take a crescent wrench and just bend it straight as you can, or straight enough so you can get this piece of metal on, in between it, or on the outside of whatever way you want to go when you go welded. And that way you can now attack the plan. You get it? You attack welded, attack weld. I thought it was kind of funny. That's starting to look good. All right, we got one side boxed in, and we got to do the other side. The first thing I got to do is cut this piece out, and then go in there with the crescent wrench and get it back to normal until this fits in there, and we'll be golden. Now, when I tack weld the plate in something similar to like this, what I'll do is I'll have it where it's not flush. Now, you can have this plate back in here, but I like to have it where there's like a valley right here, a V, that goes all the way across. And, so I call this the groove to get down with the weld. Put the weld in there because it'll be a lot easier at that point. All right, and it'll make cleaning it up with the grinder, the flat disc. It'll make it look like it came from the factory. Now remember, when you're doing work like this, especially with this kit, you pretty much want to tack everything in place. Tack everything in place, and then you go with your final welds, connecting the dots. And remember, it's also not a race. Double, triple, quadruple check, because the more time you do in the preparation, the better the end results will be. So, time for me to get to removing the bracket and bending some metal. All right, so I'm gonna move this little brace. So I guess I'm gonna kind of cut on a slant so I can cut as much as the original weld as possible. And the bottom's gonna be pretty easy, so let's get moving. All right, we tack weld the boxing plate in, and after that, what we did was we installed the bracing kit. This is just held in by clamps, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you do all your measurements now, because this is the important part. I measured from this hole right here to right here, and around 21.5 inches. And you want to do the same thing on this side, from the hole, 21.5 inches. And then at that point, I measured from that hole in the rear to the brace plate right here, which is about 43 inches. And the other side is 43 inches as well. So I pretty much got this where I want it, and I can't stress this enough. You cannot measure too much. Keep on measuring, get other points. Make sure this is square. This is your last chance. Make sure that this is square. And at that point, once you're comfortable, then you can tack it in place. Once you have the boxing plate tacked in, the brace tacked in, the support right here tacked in, final welding could begin, where you start, as I like to say, connecting the dots. Okay, so now we're to the point where we're gonna tack this brace in. Now, if you remember, when we first mocked it up, there was like maybe an inch space between the brace right here and the backing plate. So if you remember, we trimmed a little in the rear so it would move it forward, which would move it closer. So as you can see, I got about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of space between the boxing plate and the brace. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a ratchet strap and pull it in so it's close so I can tack it in, and I'm gonna do both sides. Now, when I do both sides, what I'll do is, you see the little cross member right there? I'll install the cross member with the 2 bolts, tighten it down, so that give me an extra, give me extra strength so it won't snap back. Tack it in place, and I should be good to go. And don't forget, you always gotta make sure you're reading at 0 on the frame, on the bracket, and going across. Finally, we're at the point where we're gonna burn into 2 center sections into the boxing plate. Now, this is a point where you wanna make sure all your measurements are done, because this is the point of no return right now, all right? So you wanna make sure you measure, and degree. Make sure it's right where it's at, and it is. I got them ratchet strapped. One side I had to bring in like maybe 1/8 of an inch, and the other side I had to bring in maybe 1/4 of an inch. So I guess that's acceptable, because like I said, the frames are never perfect, and you can only do so much cutting and trimming to the point where now you're gonna have to bring it in. Now we're about to burn it on in. You're gonna come with. Both sides burnt in, tacked in, and I'm using the cross member to tie the 2 sides together. It's looking pretty mean. Wow. Great kit. The final part that I'm tacking in is the rear cross member. Now, once I tack this in, I'm gonna put the frame up on jack stands so I can get up under it, and that's when I'm gonna do my final welds. But before you tack this in, again, I can't stress it enough, you wanna make sure that you measure. Now I measured from this point, right here, to this point, right, on both sides, and it comes in at 37.5. Now, of course, yours may differ, but by moving this rear cross member, you can adjust it. So the goal here is to have both sides even. And occasionally check your mounting holes. So you want to make sure everything's true, because once you do the final weld, whatever you have is what's going to be locked in. So like I said, measure, definitely. All right, here we are. We're getting ready to burn this thing in permanently, even though with the tacks it's in there, pretty good. But we're doing the final weld right now. So to prep for that, I cleaned all the metal. I tapped down with a hammer some of the tabs that were sticking up a little bit, where now they're right up against the frame. I'm just gonna go side to side. Do one part here, come over here, go over here, go over here, because you don't want to spend too much time in one area. So we're about ready to attack it. You can see what I just did there? Tack weld, but we're not gonna tack weld. We're gonna, you get it. I know you get it. So let's say during your welding travels, you come across something like this. You see how the metal isn't close to the frame? You don't want to weld that in. So what you do is you get your favorite hammer and just hammer it down. See? Had to get a couple more blows on it. So it's real close up against the frame. And I'm about to weld it in because this is going to give me some nice penetration. Attack! Now you may come across a situation where you have a hole like that. You see, it's a pretty big hole, but you can use the welder to fill that hole in. Attack! Grind it down, and you'll be good to go. Yeah, check this out. We're at the final stages, and it's looking pretty good. Last thing we got to do is the kit comes with these little spacers. You see them? You got 2 spacers this size, and they go for the rad support. And then you have 12 this size. And that you'll weld just like that over all the mounts, because that will give you additional clearance. And plus, if you have any type of damage around these holes on your frame, this is a good way to repair it. The big ring right over so it's nice and centered. Attack! There you have it. C-channels been boxed, rear cross member in, looking all pretty. Body mount holes been supported. This is one awesome setup. And I know what some of you guys are thinking. Hey Terry, most of us still have our body on our frames. Installing the frame bracing kit with the body off is easy. Tough guy. Well, yeah, it's easier. But I tell you what I do. I got a 71 Chevelle. All right, and I'm not gonna take that car apart just to install a frame bracing kit. So if you wanna see me install one of these frame bracing kits on a car that has the body on the frame, subscribe and leave me a comment and let me know. And we'll see what we can do about it. I'm always up for a challenge. Check it out. The Summit Racing frame bracing kit for A-body Chevelles 64 to 67, exclusively from Summit Racing, all installed, looking all nice and pretty. Now, as soon as I took this frame with the jack stands, you could feel the stiffness of it. It's a way different frame than before the brace kit was installed. Whenever you're installing a kit such as this, there's going to be some type of trimming, cutting, manipulating the metal, or should I say persuading it, because if you want that perfect fit, you're going to have to do some minor modification. This frame is over 50 years old. It's in good shape. Now you get another 67 Chevelle frame in here, it may not be in as good a shape. You may have to do a little bit more tweaking or modification. It's just the nature of the beast. Who knows what that frame went through as opposed to what this frame went through. So keep that in mind. Remember, when you're doing your welding, take your time. It's not a race. It's not a race. Go from side to side, front to back. When you start boxing, go up, down, whatever. Just don't stay too long in one area, because you do not want to introduce unnecessary heat to your frame, because it can stand a chance of warping. So always remember, plan your attack and then attack your plan. But I'm looking at the clock on the wall. Yeah. Or should I say ceiling? It's time for me to head on off and continue to do what I do here. I'm thinking about notching the frame so I can put a 12-inch wheel in the back. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do it or if I shouldn't. Or just leave the car alone. What do you think? Let me know. I'm always up for a conversation. Yeah, can't thank you guys enough for joining me, because if it wasn't for you guys, all of you, everyone back there, even all the people in the office watching. Yeah, I see you there. If it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do what I do, and I really appreciate it. Much love. But time for me to head on off. I gotta, do a little work on the body, get this thing in epoxy primer. Let me know in the comments. As always, please, be easy. Much love, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care.